Welcome to QuickBytes Education. Today's QuickByte is all about DHCP, what it is, how it works, and why it matters for CompTIA A Core 1 networking. Let's get started. When your laptop, phone, or printer connects to a network, it needs an IP address before it can communicate. But most of the time, you do not type that IP address in manually. The device just connects, gets its network settings, and starts working. That automatic setup usually happens because of DHCP. And for CompTIA A Core 1, DHCP is one of the most important networking basics to understand. In this lesson, we'll cover 5 things. First, what DHCP means. Second, what DHCP gives to a device. Third, how the DHCP process works. Fourth, what happens when DHCP fails. And fifth, how DHCP shows up in real IT troubleshooting. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. That sounds technical, but the idea is simple. DHCP automatically gives devices the network settings they need to communicate. Instead of manually typing an IP address into every computer, phone, tablet, or printer, DHCP handles that setup for you. A device that needs network settings is called a DHCP client. The device or service that gives out those settings is called a DHCP server. In a home network, the DHCP server is usually your router. In a business network, DHCP may run on a dedicated server, firewall, router, or other network device. Every device on a network needs certain information to communicate correctly. The most important setting is the IP address. An IP address is like a device's address on the network. It helps other devices know where to send data. But DHCP usually provides more than just an IP address. It can also provide the subnet mask, which helps define the local network. It can provide the default gateway, which is usually the router used to reach other networks or the internet. And it can provide DNS server information. DNS stands for Domain Name System. DNS helps translate website names into IP addresses, so DHCP helps a device get the basic settings it needs to connect and communicate. Imagine you walk into a coffee shop and connect your laptop to Wi-Fi. Your laptop does not already know what IP address to use on that coffee shop network, so it sends out a request. The DHCP server responds with network settings. Your laptop receives an IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS information. Then your laptop can communicate on that network and access the internet. That is DHCP doing its job in the background. The DHCP process is often explained using 4 steps: discover, offer, request, acknowledge. You may see this remembered as DORA. First, the client sends a discover message. Basically, it is saying, is there a DHCP server available? Second, the DHCP server sends an offer. It offers an available IP address and related network settings. Third, the client sends a request. It says, yes, I want to use that address. Fourth, the server sends an acknowledge message. That confirms the assignment. After that, the device can use the IP address for a certain period of time. That time period is called a lease. A DHCP lease is the amount of time a device is allowed to use an IP address. The address is not always permanent. It is borrowed from the DHCP server for a set time. When the lease gets close to expiring, the device can usually renew it. This helps networks reuse IP addresses efficiently. For example, if a guest connects to Wi-Fi and leaves, that IP address can later be used by another device. That is one reason DHCP is useful in homes, schools, offices, hotels, and public Wi-Fi networks. If DHCP fails, a device may not get the correct network settings. That can cause several problems. The device may not connect to the network. It may connect to Wi-Fi but not reach the internet. It may show a limited connectivity message, or it may assign itself an automatic private address. This is called APIPA. APIPA stands for Automatic Private IP Addressing. In many cases, an APIPA address starts with 169.254. For CompTIA A plus troubleshooting, this is a big clue. If you see an address that starts with 169.254, the device may have failed to get an IP address from DHCP. Here are some common DHCP troubleshooting clues. If one device has a problem, check whether that device received a valid IP address. If many devices have the same problem, the DHCP server, router, or network connection may be the issue. If the device has a 169.254 address, think DHCP failure. If the device has an IP address but cannot open websites by name, the problem might be DNS instead. If the device has the wrong default gateway, it may not reach the internet. So DHCP troubleshooting is not just about asking, is there an IP address? You also want to check the subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS settings. It also helps to know the difference between static and dynamic IP addresses. A static IP address is manually assigned and usually stays the same. A dynamic IP address is assigned automatically by DHCP and can change over time. Most client devices use dynamic IP addresses because DHCP is easier to manage, but some devices may use static IP addresses. For example, servers, network printers, routers, and important infrastructure devices may need consistent addresses. So remember, static means manually set. Dynamic means automatically assigned. DHCP handles dynamic addressing. DHCP matters because entry-level IT support technicians often troubleshoot connection problems. If a user says, "My computer is connected to Wi-Fi, but the internet does not work," DHCP may be one of the first things to check. Does the device have a valid IP address? Does it have the correct gateway? Does it have DNS information? Did it receive an APIPA address? Understanding DHCP helps you quickly narrow down network problems. And that is exactly the kind of practical networking knowledge CompTIA A plus Core 1 expects you to understand. Here's what you just learned. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. DHCP automatically gives devices network settings. A DHCP client requests network settings. A DHCP server provides those settings. DHCP can provide an IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS server information. The DHCP process is often remembered as DORA: discover, offer, request, acknowledge. A DHCP lease is the amount of time a device can use an assigned IP address. If DHCP fails, a device may receive an APIPA address that commonly starts with 169.254. Static IP addresses are manually assigned. Dynamic IP addresses are automatically assigned. And DHCP is essential for network connectivity, internet access, and CompTIA A plus Core 1 troubleshooting. If this helped you understand DHCP for CompTIA A plus Core 1, watch the full networking playlist next. Like, subscribe, and keep building your IT knowledge with QuickBytes education, one quick bite at a time.